Okay, Blendtec Blender versus a model steam locomotive. Will it blend? I have to give a very strong warning at the start of this video. Do not attempt to do anything like this yourself at home. No matter how fantastic and easy it looks for some, there can be some quite dramatic consequences when things go wrong. Okay, let's do it. Well, hello boys and girls, top fans and top haters. The Mallard's on the table. It can only mean one of two things. We're going to have a nice little look at this model, or we're going to blend it. It's time to put the Mallard through the Blendtec Blender. It'll be a brand new one we're going to put it through. But we're first going to have a little talk about the Blender history on my channel and how they have failed me. Well, let me give you a little brief history about these blenders. Let's talk about these two first. I'll classify these as the sub $100, that is in Australia. The Sunbeam Multi-Blender Pro. I used this in the second of the Big Hero 6 Dark Side videos. I didn't really want to use it. It was an old house blender of ours. And as you can see, well, it didn't do much munching and crunching. A lot of this stuff was basically just bouncing on the blades. I was actually very surprised to see this come out, but I also just think that in seeing that, it tells us a lot about this blender, the way the blades work with the jug here. But then again, these things aren't designed to blend toys. Next to the Sunbeam is an Aldi blender. This is the second one of these I've had. I had one of these where the glass jug exploded. Had a GoPro camera on top. Somehow the GoPro camera basically bounced off the blades. I don't know how, and survived. This one here only did a couple of toy blends. It has failed. I've pulled it apart, and I'd like to show you what is going on inside this blender. Just give me a moment here. I'll show you how it failed. Well, down here is like a cooling fan on the bottom of the Aldi blender. You can make a nice backyard jet with that. And the important thing with this is, well, there's a shaft there, electric motor, and what you want is that to be driving this section here, because that actually goes up to drive the jug, doesn't it? The blades in the jug. The problem with this one was that mid-blend, when I was blending up some toys, well, it just failed. And it wasn't until I pulled this very strange grommety thing away, we start to see the big problem with this design. Well, one thing that became very apparent with me doing a breakdown, and this is made not to be repaired. It's a throwaway item, and I can't believe just how poorly the shaft is attached to this very important disc here, which basically drives a jug when it's all in one piece. Look how it's failed. I can spin that back fan there, and it's just spinning there, okay? Very, very poor design. Normally there's a shaft with a thread of a nut or something that basically joins the shaft together. I can't believe that they've just done that. One of the worst ever shaft designs I've seen on a blender. I think seeing this really does show you just how cheap and nasty things can be. But hey, buy cheap, buy twice. I've been burnt by stuff like that far too many times from all various sorts of stores, not just Aldi. Push that aside and be a warning to you. The next one is the Sunbeam Cafe Series. This blender was very good, actually. It did a lot of toy blends for me, and the thing that ended up doing it in was the Mallard toy, and it punched a hole right through the side of the jug. That's how much I paid for my Cafe Series blender. It's a great blender. The price can jump all over the place. I have seen these for as high as $300, but I think it's once metal went into this jug here, that was the end of it. The other thing that went wrong was actually the drive nut there. You can see there's a great big crack down the bottom of that. And I should show you the blender. I think it took about 40 seconds to blend a Mallard. It did a pretty good job, but because bits were escaping out the hole, some bits didn't get a very good blend. But what we're going to try and do is make a nicer blend than this in our Blendtec blender. So between those two blenders there, the Sunbeam's very nice. This Blendtec blender here is basically double the price of the Sunbeam. You're cranking up over $500 in Australia. I've found it at Costco. I don't know whether it's anywhere else in Sydney. This is my wife's one. I purchased her one. She's done 90 blends in this one. And because we've used this at home, it's given me an opportunity to see how the great design of this actually works. This Wildside jug is fantastic. What's good about this jug is, what I like is you can fill this blender right up and you don't get any silly spillage or overflow going on. That's one of the great design aspects to this jug. But I think the thing that impressed me the most was the fact that the blade down here is you can actually put your hand down here and it's all blunt. And that sort of surprised me. It's actually more like a milling machine and blender. You know, a milling machine is something that basically pulverizes something down to dust. Well, that's sort of reminding me what this is more like. I think that was the design aspect that was the most curious part to me, for the fact that most blenders have got these sharp blades down the bottom. This is nice and blunt. It's nice and safe. You can put your hand all over. It's not cutting me to shreds. Mind you, I wouldn't want my hand in there when it's up and running. But this blender has proven itself to be, well, really nice. But then again, it would want to be really nice because I paid a lot of money for that. But I'm not going to put the Mallard through this blender here. I actually purchased one for myself. We're going to unbox this beautiful Blendtec blender here and put the Mallard in. Yay! On the side of the box, it goes into some of these special design features that Blendtec have that other blenders don't have. Obviously, it's built to a much higher standard than those El Cheapos. I paid at Costco Australia $459.99. It was on discount. The normal price when I bought this one was $519.99. So that's the blah blah on that side of the box. On the other side of the box, whoa, we've got a beautiful woman. And guess what? She's running. And I think the most impressive thing that I read on this box was down here. If I'm seeing an 8-year warranty on an item, obviously this company wants to give the customer something very, very special. Okay, let's get this bad puppy out of its box. I did try to score a free blender. I was trying to be cheap and save myself a fair bit of money. It never happened, did it? Maybe it's because I'm Australian. Hey, look at that. Upside down it says congratulations. I'm going to need two hands to get this out because I know it was a fight to get my wife's phone out of its box. We'll have to do it upside down. Tilt the box here. Well, I am from the land down under, so we do things upside down here, don't we? Okay, here it comes. Oh, that's right. It was a box in a box in a box. But it's looking mighty spanky. Oh, look at that red monolithic box. It looks like something out of 2001 A Space Oddity, but this is going to have a blender inside, I hope. One thing about high-end products is they're always boxed beautifully. That's, well, not that I've bought too many high-end products, but for the few that I have purchased, they always come in stunning boxes, and this is the same. Okay, so there is the base of the blender. This is the wild side jug, and here is, just like my wife's blender, a little booklet about blending 101. It's a great little booklet. It's an overview of the product and the things you shouldn't do. You shouldn't be putting toys in like I am. You shouldn't be putting all the things that Tom puts in his blender, but he's there to prove that his blenders are the best. Oh, look at that, a reminder there about the 8-year warranty. How could we not forget that? And there's all sorts of things you can blend up. You can put food in this thing. It really is probably the one-stop shop if you want something half decent in your kitchen. I'm sounding like an ad, aren't I? Well, I come in and free the blender base. You can make a dollhouse out of all these boxes or something creative if you're a creative person, unlike me. I'm having trouble getting this out, aren't I? Come on! Rah! Here it comes. Oh yeah, it's got a switch on the back there, and there is the blender base. Well, sure, the base is impressive, but I think the boxing is very impressive. Don't throw away the boxes. You can use it as a storage device to show off your favorite things. We'll have the Snake Thomas the Tank somewhere in this video. But don't forget, we've also got the wild side jug here, and there's a very important little reed on the side here. And if you go back and look at that video I did with the Costco demonstration of failure, this is something you need to really do when you're doing these blends. You need to put your liquids in first, and you need to put a certain amount in, then your solids, and then your frozen in third. If you don't conform to this, you can have a few problems when you start to blend. So I can get rid of this now, get the wild side jug into its spot onto the blender base. I'm going to have to cut a Lexan screen here for my GoPro camera to sit on this. And what I like about this Blendtec is it's got a nice viewing port at the top there. A lot of blenders is a little tiny hole. I'll turn it on. It should read 4 zeros because it's done no blends yet. So we've sorted the blend out. The next thing to do is to unbox the Mallard here. It's from the Great British Locomotive Collection. It was only $5.95 being the first issue. I've got to get this out of its box. I just noticed on the back here, model for collectors, not suitable for children under 14 years old. I sort of think I know why. I wonder if this one presents the same problems as that first one I had, which seemed to be broken in box. I don't know how good or bad these are during the series. I have collected up to number 10 of these, and I will be doing a separate video about them. Okay, let's take a look at this Mallard and see what we've got. Okay, well that side on first glance looks okay. Oh, mind you, I can see over the back here, I've just found a wheel which has come off. Okay, that's where the wheels come from. The front pony, or whatever they call it. I'll call it pony, probably totally wrong. There's the other side there. Okay, all I've got to do is detach this Mallard from the base here, and it'll almost be ready to blend. Well, just as I'm getting Mallard off, I noticed the sticker is on, well, what I call Sticker Friday. Not very straight. I don't know if that's occurring through most of this collection here. I better get one of these shots, or else it's not a leokimvideo. Okay, Mallard is free, and the next stop is going to be Blender Central. Okay, we are very close now. Put Mallard into the blender. How does the Blendtec theme go? And I've put a Lexan screen on top here, and I can put that up here now. And basically the GoPro sits there on a donut of blue tack, if that makes any sense at all. I'm going to hit the high and I'll give it a 40-second blend, and I think that's going to sort the Mallard out. Or will Mallard have the final say here and sort the Blendtec blender out? Remembering this model train has already destroyed one expensive blender. Okay, one Mallard smoothie coming up! Don't do this at home, guys. It was very scary. I just had to bolt, get out of the workshop here. There was bits of Mallard flying everywhere. There was bits of the blender flying everywhere. I may have got some camera damage here. Luckily, I haven't got any lacerations on me, I don't think. I just felt bits. It was like very high-speed little bits and pieces hitting me. I just took off. Very, very dangerous thing. Please do not try and do this at home. I don't know how the Blendtec guy does this. I've never seen him have a jug explode. But the Mallard's proven to be a fighter. It's Mallard 2, Blenders 0. Well, I hope I've stopped shaking. That was one of the most silly and most dangerous things that I've done in my workshop here. I'll be quite honest here, I was not expecting this. I don't think many of you out there were. Okay, that's gone. I think my GoPros are okay. I hope they are. I'll tell you what, I'm starting to be very impressed by the robustness of GoPros. I've given them absolute hell. Looks like they're still working. Look at the spray of stuff. It is just everywhere. That's just the table, okay? There's little bits and pieces. If I go down to the floor here, I'm not sure how good you're going to see that. All those little speckles are basically bits of Mallard, and some of it is bits of the blender jug. Very, very messy. Very, very scary. There's my work table down there. I retreated up to here, which was what I thought was a safe spot. But if you look on the ground there, there's little bits of wheels there. It's sprayed all the way up here. There's a mass of it there. Some of it is down there. Really, really scary stuff. Especially those little metal wheels flying at you at high speed. Well, let me gather up all the bits of Mallard and parts of the jug that I can find, and we'll do a post-blend analysis. Well, this is down on the ground, me sweeping up a debris pile of bits of Mallard and the blender. I'm pretty sure there's going to be parts that I'm not going to find. There is such fine parts here. I'm not going to recover the whole train. From what I can see, the Blendtec blender has done a far more refined blend versus the other blender, which was that Sunbeam. But then again, I think the Blendtec Blender's jug had failed in a far more dramatic way, which really has surprised me. Okay, I've gathered up all the pieces of Mallard and the bits of blender that broke. That is the debris field there. But I've got a few very important things to show you before we go any further. My Blendtec blender has only done one blend. It performed perfectly. It was just the jug that failed. The base is still a-okay. We all know Tom on the Blendtec channel does some amazing blends, and the one which I thought was really good was the Buckyballs. It was like a magnet toy. And I thought, well, if the blender can blend that, surely my blender can blend the Mallard. But then I found out a little bit more info about the blender that Tom uses. So here I am on the Blendtec website looking at their products here. I'll scroll down the page. That's the blender there. I'll point to it. The Classic 570. That's the one I used in this video. A lot cheaper in the USA price than what I paid. But what I found interesting here is down the bottom here, there's a special Tom Dixon Extreme Blender. Now I'll be honest here, I'd really like to have one of these blenders. It looks a bit expensive and I'm very curious to see if Mallard destroys that blender there. Let's take a look at the jug here. It has suffered a fair bit of damage, more damage than the Sunbeam Cafe Series because it's got two holes in it. Okay, the same train went into these blenders and this one has basically been smashed up more. Maybe that bit there saved these sides because I noticed the sides that survived had that extra bit of moulding in there. I'll take a look at the blade. This is very important to look at. The blade got really knocked around. Now I can tell you why I know is because there is that blade there, and if I bring up the other jug from my wife's blender, which has got a blade which is pristine, look at that there. Maybe I'll do some fancy video tricks and you'll see one blade versus the other. Quite interesting, isn't it? But let's always be reminded we are dealing with a domestic model here, which isn't designed to have toys put through it. The drive is in good condition. That's nice to see. And here's a side-by-side of obviously the Blendtec jug and the Sunbeam one. That's the hole the Sunbeam copped. And reminder, there's the damage that the Blendtec got. Remembering the Blendtec got that hole plus that hole there. I would say this jug here has obviously suffered far more damage than the Sunbeam jug, and it's probably going to surprise many people. But let's remember, on the Sunbeam, the drive union actually failed when I blended the Mallard. As we noticed on the Blendtec, the drive union looks to be in excellent condition. And hey, let's also remember the Sunbeam blender has done a number of blends for me before it busted up. This Blendtec has only done one blend. Okay, now it's time to inspect the debris field. Well, this here is obviously parts of the blender jug. This piece here has almost broken into two pieces there. You can just see it hanging in there. Yeah, well, what else can you say apart from it being bits of broken blender jug? Well, this is Mallard looking very tired. One thing I will say is there are some very small pieces of wheel here. An example would be that. So I think the Blendtec blender has been far more brutal, but mind you, as soon as that jug broke and opened up, this stuff just ejected like crazy. It really was fierce. Sure, there are some large pieces here, but the bulk of this stuff is tiny pieces, and I do feel that this is broken up more than what the Sunbeam blender had done. I really feel the Blendtec blender had a bit more grunt when it came to breaking up Mallard. I think the next thing to do is to lay this debris field against the debris field that the Sunbeam blender made. Okay, laying on the table there is the tale of two Mallard blends. Yes, both blenders the jug has failed, but there is a clear winner. I feel the Blendtec blender has broken up the Mallard into much smaller pieces. It's done a much better job at breaking up the Mallard, even though once that jug opened up, nearly all those parts were ejected from the blender's jug. And I think it's very important for me to ask the audience, which blender do you think has done the best job? Which is the better blender? Remembering the Sunbeam blender is actually a fair bit cheaper for me versus the Blendtec. And I want to make this point very clear right now. I have no association with the Sunbeam company. I have no association with the Blendtec company or any companies that may have been mentioned in this video. Oh, I do wonder if Blendtec watched this video and they probably thought, oh, silly Leo, trying to break up a toy Mallard in one of those blenders. You needed one of the really ritzy ones. Well, guess what? I've got another Mallard. Choo woo! And I think maybe this guy here needs to go into one of the Tom Dixon Extreme blenders here. Do they do 240 volt version of that blender? I wonder if Blendtec are going to get in contact with me and say, hey Leo, send us over the Mallard, we'll blend it for you. Or I'll go and buy one of your blenders if you tell me where to get one of the ones which will be powered on my power source here. It doesn't bother me. I'd like to see this go into that, and I'm pretty sure my audience would like to see that as well. But I'm also thinking maybe Blendtec can help me or resurrect this beautiful blender here. How's this for a deal? If you send me out another jug, I will donate it to my daughter's school because they need a really nice blender in the school canteen, and I'm sure they're going to love this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the base of this. It's only done one blend, so it's a new unit. All it needs is a new jug. So hey, it's up to you, Blendtec. What do you think? Well, you never know your luck in a big city. It's not often I ask for things, but this time I am. I just hope Blendtec see that I've been very fair to them. I don't want to be seen as someone who's trying to wreck a good reputation. They have excellent products, just let me say that, okay? Who knows, I might get lucky here, or I might be totally ignored. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.